So what actually is ovulation? So you have your ovulatory window, so which typically when you start creating cervical mucus to when you release that egg, right? You should be creating cervical mucus anywhere from 2 to 7 days prior to ovulation. Again, going to be different for everybody here. Now, if you are creating inexcusably amounts of cervical mucus, like a ton, or way longer than 7 days, that can be a sign of a thyroid issue. So again, remember these flags are talking to us. If you are not creating any cervical mucus, this can be low vitamin A deficiency. It could be lack of hydration. It could be low estrogen. So again, communication, we're learning here, right? If you have no ovulation whatsoever, obviously you're not going to be creating cervical mucus. So if you aren't ovulating, I wouldn't go right down the road of like, oh, why am I not creating cervical mucus? You have to figure out why you aren't ovulating. Now, something I want to talk about. Ovulation brings your period. Okay, so when you ovulate, that follicle that releases the egg forms what's called the corpus luteum, which is producing your progesterone. Okay. When that progesterone drops and all the hormones drop, that's what triggers your period to come. Okay. So if we have no ovulation, we have no period. You can have what's called a withdrawal bleed, which can look very similar to a period, which is why we need to track ovulation. Okay. I'm not going to go over tracking ovulation in this episode. If you want to do that, go listen to the episode that we have on tracking your cycle. We'll also make sure to link it. It's one of our first episodes that came out. So this is why ovulation is so important, because it's what brings your period. It's what brings your period. And so when I have women that go, can I get pregnant without a period or without a cycle? The answer is no. But then there's women that come in and go, yeah, I got pregnant and I never got a period. So obviously you can get pregnant without a cycle. The answer is still no. You have to ovulate. What happens is ovulation happens before that first period. It's what brings the period. So if you get pregnant on that first ovulation, you never see that first period. Does that make sense? This is like very important, I think, for my PCOS ladies and my postpartum ladies to just sit with that for a second, because you truly need a cycle. You can't get pregnant without ovulation. It's impossible. You also aren't ovulating 5, 6, 7 times throughout your cycle. I literally had someone tell me one time, she goes, I'm hyperfertile. I was like, okay, what does that mean to you? And she goes, no matter when I have sex in my cycle, I get pregnant. I'm like, okay, that is not what hyperfertile means, because she thought she was ovulating just multiple times throughout her cycle. And I was like, that is not the case. We don't. We ovulate once. We ovulate once. You can release a second egg within that 24-hour window of releasing the first egg. That is possible. That can happen. But what happens is then the follicle that releases the corpus luteum produces progesterone, suppresses any of the ovulations. Okay, so once you ovulate, you're moving on. Okay, not going to happen again. But it is very possible if you're like, okay, I'm starting to create cervical mucus. You think ovulation's coming. We're going. And then your body's like, no, never mind. We're not doing that. That can happen. That can happen. But a true actually ovulating, releasing the egg, forming the corpus luteum, producing the progesterone, that happens once in your cycle, not 5 times. Okay. So if you think you're hyperfertile because you get pregnant really, really easily, it's not because you are ovulating multiple times throughout your cycle. Ooh, that was very long-winded, but that is like my personal, that is the rock I will stand on, the hill I will stand on, because I hear so much misinformation around that.